but this secret made me so angry. I am 29. Never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am, pouring my heart out to strangers on the internet. My world has been turned upside down, and I need to get this off my chest. I've been with my fiancé, Anna, F28, for 6 years. We met during our final year of college at a mutual friend's party. I remember it like it was yesterday. She was wearing a blue dress that matched her eyes, and her laugh could light up the entire room. We hit it off immediately, talking about everything from our shared love of obscure indie bands to our dreams of working in tech. After graduation, we both landed jobs in the same city. I joined a software development firm, while Anna got into project management. We were young, ambitious, and in love. We'd spend our weekends exploring the city, trying out new restaurants, and dreaming about our future together. It wasn't always easy. We had our fair share of arguments about work-life balance and finances, but we always managed to work through it. 3 years into our relationship, we decided to move in together. It was a big step, but it felt right. We found a cozy apartment with a small balcony where we'd have our morning coffee. We established our routines, Friday night dates, weekend hikes, and cooking together on Sundays. I proposed last year during a surprise trip to the beach where we had our first vacation. Anna cried happy tears, and I felt like the luckiest man alive. We were set to get married this summer, and I couldn't wait to start our life together as husband and wife. Looking back, I realized there were signs that something was off. About 3 months ago, Anna started becoming distant. She was working late more often, always on her phone, and seemed less interested in our usual activities. I remember one Friday night when I had planned a special date, tickets to a concert by her favorite band. Anna called at the last minute, saying she had to work late. I was disappointed but understood. Her company was going through a merger, and things were hectic. I tried talking to her about it several times. "Is everything okay?" I'd ask. "You seem stressed." But she'd brush it off, saying work was crazy and she was just tired. I believed her because, well, why wouldn't I? This was Anna, the woman I trusted more than anyone in the world. Last month, everything came crashing down. I was using Anna's laptop to check our joint account for wedding expenses. She had left her email open and a message caught my eye. It was from a guy named Mike, and the subject line read, "I miss you." My heart sank. I know I shouldn't have, but I couldn't help myself. I read the email. It was clear they were having an affair. I sat there, staring at the screen, feeling like I couldn't breathe. Memories flashed through my mind, all the late nights, the secretive phone calls, the decreased intimacy between us. It all made sense now, in the worst possible way. I confronted Anna that evening when she got home. I still remember the look on her face when I asked, "Who's Mike?" She froze, her eyes widening in shock and then filling with tears. She broke down immediately, confessing that she had been seeing Mike for the past 4 months. Through her sobs, Anna explained that Mike was a client at her company, married with 2 kids. They met during a project and started talking. She said it began innocently, just friendly chats during coffee breaks. But then they started meeting outside of work, and one thing led to another. Anna swore it was a mistake and that she regretted it deeply. She said she had tried to end it multiple times but kept getting pulled back in. "I still love you," she cried, clutching my arm. "Please, we can work through this. I'll do anything." I was devastated. 6 years of trust gone in an instant. The future I had imagined, our wedding, our home, the family we'd talked about starting, it all felt like a lie now. How could Anna, the person I trusted most in the world, do this to us? I needed time to process, so I packed a bag and went to stay with my brother. Anna kept calling and texting, begging for another chance. Her messages ranged from desperate pleas to angry accusations that I was throwing away our relationship without giving her a chance to explain. After a week, I agreed to meet and talk. We met at a neutral coffee shop, the same one where we used to study together in college. Anna looked terrible, with dark circles under her eyes and her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She seemed genuinely remorseful and promised to cut all contact with Mike. She even offered to quit her job to prove her commitment to me. I was torn. Part of me wanted to forgive her and move forward. We had built a life together, and despite everything, I still loved her. But another part couldn't get past the betrayal. How could I ever trust her again? Every time she'd be late from work or on her phone, would I be wondering if she was lying to me? After much soul-searching and long talks with my family, I decided to give our relationship another chance. I told Anna we would need to postpone the wedding and go to couples counseling. She agreed to everything, seeming relieved that I was willing to try. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, they did. 2 days ago, I was helping Anna clean out our spare room, which we were planning to turn into a home. Office. As I was moving some boxes, I found a small shoebox hidden in the back of the closet. Curious, I opened it. Inside were 2 positive pregnancy tests and some medical documents. My heart stopped. I confronted Anna, and she broke down again. She admitted that she had gotten pregnant twice during her affair with Mike. Both times, she chose to have an abortion without telling anyone. Not me, not Mike, not even her best friend. I was speechless. The betrayal, the lies, the secrecy, it was all too much. I couldn't believe the person I thought I knew could do something like this. I told Anna I needed space and left the apartment. Now I'm staying at a hotel, trying to figure out what to do. My family is furious. My brother, who had become close to Anna over the years, wants me to cut all ties with her. He keeps saying, "She's shown you who she really is, believe her." My parents, who always treated Anna like a daughter, are heartbroken. I remember how my mom cried with joy when we announced our engagement. Now she calls me daily, worry evident in her voice. They're also concerned about how this will affect our extended family, especially since we had already sent out wedding invitations. I'm lost and don't know what to do. The woman I loved and trusted for 6 years has become a stranger to me. How do I move forward from this? Should I try to salvage our relationship, or is it beyond repair? And what about Mike's wife? Does she deserve to know the truth? Any advice would be appreciated. I feel like I'm drowning, and I don't know how to come up for air. Update 1. It's been a month since my last post, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone who commented and sent messages of support. Your words helped me more than you know during this difficult time. After my last post, I spent a week at the hotel, barely eating or sleeping. I couldn't stop thinking about Anna, our relationship, and the future we had planned together. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the life we had built crumbling around me. I remembered our first date, when we walked along the river and talked until sunrise. I thought about the time we adopted our cat, Milo, from the local shelter, and how Anna had cried happy tears when he curled up in her lap. These memories, once so precious, now felt tainted. My brother came to check on me, bringing food and clean clothes. He's always been my rock, ever since we were kids. I remember when I first told him about Anna. He had teased me mercilessly about how smitten I was, but he also said he'd never seen me happier. Now, he sat with me in that hotel room, listening as I poured out my heart, offering support without judgment. Eventually, I knew I had to face Anna. We agreed to meet at a neutral location, a quiet coffee shop we used to frequent during our college days. It was where we had our first official date, where we studied for finals together, where I had practiced my proposal speech. Now, it felt like a fitting place to possibly end our story. The moment I saw Anna, my emotions went haywire. She looked terrible, with dark circles under her eyes and a defeated posture. Her hair, usually perfectly styled, was pulled back in a messy ponytail. She was wearing the oversized sweater I had given her for Christmas last year. Part of me wanted to comfort her, to tell her everything would be okay. Another part wanted to scream at her for destroying everything we had built together. We talked for hours. Anna explained how the affair started, late nights at work, feeling disconnected from me, the excitement of something new. She talked about how Mike had pursued her, complimenting her work and making her feel valued. "It started with just talking," she said. "He understood the pressure I was under at work. I felt like I could tell him things I couldn't tell you." She swore she never meant for it to go so far, that she had tried to end it multiple times. When she found out she was pregnant the first time, she panicked. She knew the baby could be either mine or Mike's, and the thought of potentially having another man's child while engaged to me was too much for her to handle. "I didn't know what to do," she sobbed. "I was scared and ashamed. I knew if I told you, I'd lose you. And if I told Mike, he might leave his family. I couldn't bear the thought of breaking up 2 relationships." She made the decision to have an abortion without telling anyone. The guilt ate at her, but she convinced herself it was a one-time mistake. Then it happened again. The second abortion was what finally made her realize how far she had fallen. She ended things with Mike for good and was trying to find a way to tell me everything when I discovered the emails. I listened to all of this in a daze. The Anna I knew, or thought I knew, would never have done these things. But then again, did I ever really know her? I thought about all the times she had lied to me over the past few months, all the moments of intimacy we had shared while she was carrying this secret. It made me feel sick. After our talk, I went to my parents' house. They've always been my safe haven, and I needed their support now more than ever. They were waiting for me when I arrived, concern etched on their faces. My mom immediately pulled me into a hug, and I broke down in her arms. They were supportive, but clearly disappointed. My mom cried, saying she had always thought of Anna as the daughter she never had. My dad, usually stoic, looked older than I'd ever seen him. We sat around the kitchen table, the same one where we had announced our engagement to them. My mom made my favorite comfort food, her homemade lasagna, but I could barely eat. We talked for hours, going over every detail of what had happened. They listened without judgment, offering advice when I asked for it, but mostly just being there for me. I spent the next few weeks in a fog, going through the motions at work and avoiding social media. Our friends started asking questions about the wedding. Some had already booked flights and accommodations. I couldn't bear to explain, so I asked my brother to handle it. He sent out a brief message saying the wedding was off due to unforeseen circumstances. The reactions were mixed. Some friends reached out with concern, others with curiosity. A few, who knew both Anna and me well, guessed that something major had happened. I appreciated the support, but couldn't bring myself to share the full story. It felt too raw, too personal. During this time, Anna continued to reach out. She sent emails detailing her therapy sessions, promising she was working on herself. She begged for another chance, swearing she would spend the rest of her life making it up to me if I would just give her the opportunity. Part of me wanted to believe her. We had 6 years of history, of love, of building a life together. I thought about our plans for the future, the house we wanted to buy, the children we hoped to have. Could I really throw all of that away? But every time I considered forgiveness, the image of those pregnancy tests would flash in my mind. The lies, the betrayal, the sheer magnitude of her deceit. It was overwhelming. After much soul-searching and long talks with my family, I made a decision. I couldn't continue the relationship with Anna. The trust was irreparably broken, and I knew I would never be able to look at her the same way again. I met with Anna one last time to tell her my decision. It was one of the hardest conversations of my life. We met at our apartment, the home we had shared for the past 3 years. As soon as she saw my face, she knew. She cried, begged, and pleaded, but I stood firm. I returned her engagement ring and told her I would be moving out. The next day, as I was packing my things, I came across a framed photo of us from our first vacation together. We had gone to the beach, and the picture showed us laughing as we built a sandcastle. We looked so happy, so in love. It hit me then that I wasn't just losing my fiancé, but also my best friend and the future we had planned together. As I write this update, I'm staying with my brother while I look for a new place. I'm still processing everything that's happened, but I know I made the right decision for myself. The road ahead seems daunting, but for the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe again. There's one more thing I need to address. Mike's wife. Many of you urged me to tell her the truth, and I've been grappling with this decision. I'll share more about that in my next update. Thank you all again for your support. It means more than you know. Update 2. It's been 2 weeks since my last update, and I finally gathered the courage to write this. The past few months have been a whirlwind of emotions and difficult decisions, but I feel like I'm slowly starting to find my footing again. First, I want to address the question many of you asked about: Mike's wife. After much deliberation and advice from friends and family, I decided she deserved to know the truth. It wasn't an easy decision, and I wrestled with the potential consequences for days. But ultimately, I felt that if I were in her position, I would want to know. I managed to find her on social media and sent her a message explaining who I was and asking if we could meet. She agreed, probably out of curiosity more than anything else. We arranged to meet at a park near her house, a neutral location where we could talk privately. The day of the meeting, I was a bundle of nerves. I arrived early and waited on a bench, rehearsing what I was going to say. When she arrived, I recognized her immediately from the photos I had seen. She looked nervous but determined. I'll never forget the look on her face when I told her everything. The shock, the pain, the anger. She didn't say much at first, just sat there, absorbing the information. Then she started asking questions: how long it had been going on, if I had proof, if I knew about the pregnancies. I answered as honestly as I could, showing her the emails I had discovered. Her reaction was a mix of gratitude and devastation. She thanked me for having the courage to tell her, saying she had suspected something was off with Mike but couldn't prove it. Then she broke down, and I just sat with her, offering what little comfort I could. It was a surreal moment, two strangers connected by the betrayal of the people we loved most. I haven't heard from her since that day, but mutual friends told me she confronted Mike and kicked him out of the house. I hope she finds the strength to move forward, whatever that means for her. I can't help but feel a strange connection to this woman I barely know, both of us victims of the same betrayal. As for me, I've been focusing on rebuilding my life. I found a new apartment in a different part of the city. It's smaller than the place I shared with Anna, but it's mine. Moving in was bittersweet. I was excited for a fresh start, but seeing my belongings without Anna's mixed in was a stark reminder of how much had changed. It's strange living alone after so many years of sharing a space with Anna. The first few nights were the hardest. I'd wake up reaching for her, only to find an empty space beside me. But as the days passed, I started to appreciate the solitude. I can leave dishes in the sink without feeling guilty, watch whatever I want on TV, and spread out my work on the dining table without worrying about tidying up. Work has been a welcome distraction. I threw myself into a new project, working long hours to keep my mind occupied. My boss has been understanding, giving me space when I need it, and challenging work when I want to stay busy. I'm grateful for the support of my colleagues, many of whom have become good friends over the years. My family and friends have been incredible throughout this whole ordeal. They've helped me move, listened to me vent, and dragged me out of the house when I needed it. My brother in particular has been my rock. He checks in on me daily and has been helping me navigate the legal aspects of separating my life from Anna's. We've grown even closer through this experience, and I'm thankful for his unwavering support. Speaking of Anna, she's respected my wishes and hasn't contacted me since our last meeting. I heard through mutual friends that she's moved in with her sister and is continuing therapy. Part of me hopes she finds peace and learns from this experience, but I know that's not my responsibility anymore. It's strange to think of her as part of my past now, when for so long she was central to my plans for the future. The hardest part has been dealing with the waves of emotion that hit unexpectedly. I'll be fine one moment, then something will remind me of Anna or our life together, and it's like a punch to the gut. The other day, I was grocery shopping and automatically reached for her favorite brand of yogurt. It took me a second to realize I didn't need to buy it anymore. These little moments catch me off guard and remind me of how intertwined our lives were. I've started to reconnect with old hobbies and interests that I had let slide during my relationship. I joined a local hiking group and have been exploring trails in the area. The physical exertion and beauty of nature have been therapeutic. Last weekend, we hiked to a waterfall I had always wanted to visit, but never found the time for. Standing there, watching the water cascade down the rocks, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't experienced in months. I've also been spending more time with friends I had somewhat neglected while I was with Anna. My college roommate and I have started having weekly game nights, just like we used to. It's been great to reconnect and remember who I was before my relationship became such a big part of my identity. My parents have been incredibly supportive throughout this whole ordeal. They call me every few days to check in, and I've been having Sunday dinners at their house. My mom always makes too much food, insisting on sending me home with leftovers. I think it's her way of making sure I'm eating properly. My dad, who's never been one for emotional conversations, has started inviting me to watch sports with him. We don't talk much, but his quiet presence is comforting. As I write this, I realize that while the pain is still there, it's not as sharp as it was before. I'm starting to see a future for myself that doesn't include Anna, and while that's scary, it's also exciting in a way. I'm rediscovering parts of myself that I had forgotten and exploring new possibilities that I hadn't considered before. I've even started thinking about dating again, though I know I'm not ready yet. The thought of trusting someone new is daunting, but I'm hopeful that when the time is right, I'll be able to open my heart again. To those who are going through similar situations, I want to say that it does get better. It's not easy, and there are days when it feels impossible, but keep pushing forward. Surround yourself with people who support you, be kind to yourself, and remember that you deserve happiness and trust in your relationships. There are still moments when I miss Anna, when I think about calling her or wonder what she's doing, but those moments are becoming less frequent. I'm learning to live with the pain and disappointment, to accept what happened without letting it define me. As I look towards the future, I'm focusing on personal growth. I've started reading self-help books about healing after betrayal and building self-esteem. I'm also considering taking some classes at the local community college, maybe learning a new skill or exploring a subject I've always been interested in. Thank you all again for your support and advice throughout this journey. Your words have been a source of strength and comfort. I may not update again for a while as I focus on healing and moving forward, but know that I appreciate each and every one of you. Here's to new beginnings and the strength to face whatever challenges life throws our way.